So welcome to session one. In this session, we're going to talk about designing your customer acquisition process. I'm going to share with you why it's also the most important part of your entire business. It really is one of your most important assets. So specifically, here's what we're going to be looking at. Number one, what's the difference between prospecting and positioning, and why is positioning infinitely better? Why does it make it so it's easier to get customers with less resistance and also at premium prices too? We're going to look at choosing your target audience. So how do you make sure that you're going after the right people who are most likely to buy and also be great customers for you? We're going to look at visualizing your entire customer acquisition process, even though it hasn't yet been built yet, but actually starting to map out the entire thing so that as we start to build it, you actually have a plan. We'll look at all the individual parts like the opt-in page, the offer, the order page, and so on. And then last of all, actually you beginning to build your list. Okay, you beginning to start collecting the contact details of your prospects. So let's begin. So I want to start off by telling you a story, a short little story about why it's so important to have a customer acquisition process. And there's a very good chance that you're going to be able to relate to this story if you've been in business for more than, say, just even a few months. So I first started my first real business back in 2008. It was an online business and I was promoting high-ticket conferences. Now, I didn't have the slightest clue what I was doing. I'd never done anything like this before. So the very first thing I did was I set up my office, which you can see right here. It happened to be my bedroom. And I went and got a website. It wasn't a very good website. It was just a very simple one-page website. And I didn't have the first clue how to go and get customers. So after I'd run out of money trying to learn how to promote online and doing Google AdWords and a few other strategies, I knew that I needed to keep marketing. I knew that I needed to keep finding ways to get customers. So because I didn't have a marketing budget, I actually resorted to picking up a phone book and cold calling businesses out of that phone book and trying to bring them into the program that I was promoting, which was a personal development program. And let's just say it wasn't exactly that effective. I was calling person after person, interrupting them from what they were doing. They were very annoyed. They weren't receptive to what I was saying. And I just got hung up on call after call after call. And I would do this for about 2 or 3 hours per day. And at the end of it, I would just be mentally exhausted. I would be drained. I felt like a telemarketer. That's how I felt. I felt like I was always chasing down prospects, trying to get them interested in what I was selling. Now, if you've been in business, can you relate to that? Do you ever feel like you're chasing after your prospect and that you want the sale more than they want it for themselves? Well, if you can, this is how most business owners operate, and this is a big part of the reason why they fail, because they are constantly prospecting. What we're going to teach you in this program is how to position yourself. Through your customer acquisition process, I'm going to share with you how you can position your product, your service, you, in fact, if you're representing your business, as the natural choice. Above all your competition, you will be perceived as the most obvious and best choice for them. So this is what we call prospecting versus positioning. When you can create the right positioning for your product services, you actually have people come chasing after you. Okay, you no longer have to go and chase after them. You actually become the hunted rather than the hunter. And you're able to command premium prices, you're able to do business on your terms, you're able to set the terms of that interaction. So you decide when you work with the client, you decide who you sell to, you have complete choice, and you're in the position of power, okay? And that's the position you want to be in your marketing and when you're promoting and selling products. You don't want to be in a lesser position where you're always chasing after people and they can almost smell the desperation. When you have the right customer acquisition process, you never have to do that again. And the other important point is, when I first started out, I was the one going out there trying to get deals. Okay, so I was always chasing after people. But what happened when I went to bed every night? The business suddenly stopped. So for about 8 hours, the business was on hold. If you right now, if you are the main way that you currently bring in customers into your business, in other words, if you have to go out there face to face or call prospects on the phone, then you don't have a scalable business. The moment you stop working, so does your customer acquisition process. What we want to do instead is we want to build a customer acquisition process that is automated, that is highly scalable. So in other words, you can double the output from one day to the next without a proportionate increase in the inputs. And it needs to be able to run pretty much on autopilot. And then you can just focus on feeding it, feeding the funnel, putting prospects through it. And even when you're sleeping, it can be making sales for you. And I'll just tell you from now, from my perspective, at the current time of recording this video, my company Mobe has done over $130 million in gross sales since we started. And the vast majority of those sales haven't been dependent on me having to go and close deals face to face. In fact, I haven't had to make a phone call to a prospect for about now 4 years. I have systems set up, I have processes set up so that even when I'm sleeping, my business is growing, we're attracting new customers, we're increasing the value of our existing customers, and it's just a much better way to operate your business. But don't worry, I'm going to show you how to do that for yourself. Now, here's a quote by Peter Drucker. This is a really good quote, and he's talking about marketing, but this can equally be applied to your customer acquisition process. So he says, the aim of marketing is to make selling superfluous. So what that means is when you have a really good marketing program set up, you don't have to be that great at selling face-to-face or one-on-one because your marketing, your customer acquisition process, it's done such a good job of getting that prospect properly positioned and predisposed to buy that by the time that they actually get in front of you or a sales rep or someone else who's doing the sale, there's very little convincing, there's very little telling and selling required. Your customer acquisition process has already done all the heavy lifting for you. Now, another thing I want to mention before we get too much into the content, I want you to adopt this as your mindset from here on out. And this has served me really well over the past 7 years. It's really been responsible for just about all of our growth in my own business. So it's this mentality of you're going to be building this as you go. In this module, I'm going to share with you how to map out your entire customer acquisition process, but I want to make it very clear that you don't have to have the whole thing planned and informed in your mind before you go and start executing. In fact, that would be a mistake. The best thing to do is to plan it to the point where you've got a minimum viable product. And we talked about that in silver, but it's the minimum acceptable version, and then start executing. Go and start building it. So even as you're going throughout this program, you should actually be executing. You should be implementing what I'm sharing with you and building it as you go. Here's really the mentality. You launch, even if it's not perfect, and then you optimize as you go. Every single week in my own company, we are launching things that are not 100% perfect. If I waited to get everything 100% perfect, I would never get anything done. And neither would most of the people who work in my company these days. So what we do is we launch when things are at about 70% perfection, and then we fine-tune them. Then we perfect them, then we optimize them once they're actually out there, because that way they actually have a chance of bringing us back customers and making sales. So it's a much better way to operate. I like to say this, as entrepreneurs, we basically jump off a cliff, and on the way down, we're building our plane. It can definitely be a challenging environment, but it's also part of what makes it so exciting. So again, as I'm sharing with you how to go and build all of this, don't wait to the end of module 8 before you go and start executing. Start executing right away. Start implementing what I tell you right away, and that way you'll get the most out of the program. So in Silver, we talked about choosing your niche and also choosing your target avatar, your ideal customer avatar. Who is that person that you're trying to reach, that you're trying to sell to, that you're trying to help? And I want to just add a few more points on that because it's so important. Before we start building this customer acquisition process, we need to really know who is our audience. We need to really know. So we need to have a very clearly defined picture of who is our customer avatar, who is the average of all of our prospects condensed into one person. Who is that person? What is their name? How old are they? What are they interested in? What are their fears? What do they like? What are they thinking? These are the kind of things that I want you to think about. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to pause this video. Before we go on, I want you to pause the video and I want you to start answering some of those questions. Write down, who are you going to be marketing to? Who are we building this customer acquisition process for? Write that down. The one thing that you don't want to do, and I'm guessing that you're not doing this, but sometimes people do, is they try and define everyone. They say, my product, my service is so great that everyone's going to want this once it's ready. And often when people have that approach, when they think that this will appeal to everyone and they try and target everyone, they get no one. Okay, so you need to get very clear about who is that person that you're trying to target. Now your market or your customer avatar, this is not about facts and figures. So being able to quote facts and figures and how big the niche is and what the potential is, that's all wonderful, but what we really care about is more what's going on inside of that person's head. The better that you know your prospect, the more effective your marketing is going to be. Part of the reason why Mobe has been able to do over $100 million in sales, and most of that's come in the last 24 months, is because we really know our target audience well. We know that our typical audience member is an entrepreneur, small business owner, and they're in startup mode. Okay, so they're just starting out, they don't have many employees yet. In fact, many of them are just operating by themselves, and their biggest frustrations are they need to get more leads. They don't have enough sales coming in. They maybe have friends and family who are a little bit skeptical or not very supportive of what they're doing. My point is, I know all of these things about my target audience, so that when I do put together marketing, I have a picture in my mind of who exactly is that person, and it makes my marketing 10 times more effective. So this is why it's so important to know who that person is. So the kind of things that you want to be wondering about, you want to be asking. So first of all, ask open questions to your prospects. Go and ask them questions. Go and find them. Go and find them at the local conventions, the events, the online forums. Find out about what they actually want. What are their frustrations? What are their desires? You need to know all of this. What are their challenges? What keeps them up at night? This is a big, important question. So what are the things about their industry or their problem or their desire, their desired benefit that they worry about? What are their dreams? Write down their objections. Why wouldn't they buy your product? Why wouldn't they buy your service? Adapt to their requirements, and how can you help them? So this is a really important concept. You need a channel and process that is repeatable, automated, scalable, and converts at an adequate rate that allows you to buy targeted advertising profitably. Now, please don't underestimate what I just said, because this really is the difference between entrepreneurs who build 5-figure businesses and the ones who go on to scale past 6, 7, 8, and even 9 figures and beyond. They have a process in place that does not depend upon them. It's able to make sales for them, like I said before, even while they sleep. So that's exactly what gold is about. That's the whole point of gold, is for us to put this in place to help you get it done in your own business. Now, another thing before we continue and we get too deep into the content, everything that you're going to hear from me is all about direct response marketing versus your typical brand advertising. So direct response marketing, what is it and why is it so important? Well, first of all, it's very different to branding. With branding, what you're trying to do is you're trying to create an emotion around a product, around a logo, around a company. So when they see that brand, that logo, that desired emotion comes up. So one of the most famous examples, of course, is Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, part of their branding strategy is that when you see that Coca-Cola logo, it's associated with happiness. So all of their marketing has smiling faces, happy people, relaxing, they look like they're on holiday, they're with others, and they're just very happy and excited to be alive. So that's what Coca-Cola is going after. Now, that's worked incredibly well for Coca-Cola, but you've got to keep in mind, they have a multi-billion-dollar marketing budget. Now, you and I, as small business owners, where we have less than 500 staff, we don't have that kind of marketing budget. And plus, for our sort of business that we're doing, direct response marketing is often far more effective. You might wonder, well, then why doesn't Coca-Cola or companies like that who use brand advertising, why don't they use direct response marketing? Well, the answer is for a number of reasons. Number one, if it's a low ticket, low margin product like a can of Coke, it is actually more effective to sell that through brand advertising. So some business types are better suited for brand advertising, but I would say that 99% of people watching this right now, you are better off using direct response marketing. So let me tell you a little bit about direct response marketing. First of all, a few characteristics of it. Number one, it's trackable. Everything you do in direct response marketing, you can measure. So in other words, if you go and spend $1,000 on advertising, you can see exactly how many leads you got and how many sales you got. It's very measurable. It uses compelling headlines and sales copy. So direct response marketing, everything that you do is there to get an action, a response. So the response could be something like, call this 1-800 number. The response could be, go to this online order form and sign up. The response could be, get a free trial. But there's a measurable response from it, and that's one of the main ways that you can tell, is it direct response marketing or is it brand advertising? And also, it targets a very specific audience. So direct response marketing works best when you have laser targeting in place. If you try and use it on a very wide, untargeted audience, you're going to fall flat and you're likely to lose a lot of money doing it. So we have to go after a very targeted audience. We're going to make sure that whatever we do in our direct response marketing, we are targeting, and this is first and foremost, especially when you start, it's especially important. We want to make sure that you are targeting the people, the group of people who are the most likely candidates to be interested in buying whatever it is you're selling. So you always test your marketing on that audience first, because if they don't buy, then the mass market will never buy. Now, the other thing about direct response marketing, it makes a specific offer. The offer could be, again, call a 1-800 number. It could be go to this website. It could be send me an email. It could be come into our office or our shop and get a free quote. It could be something like that. It demands a response. Often there's a multi-step short-term follow-up in place. So the multi-step, it could be something like this. The ad could appear in a newspaper. So that's the first step. That gets the attention of the prospect. The call to action in the ad, after the headline and the benefits, the call to action could be call this 1-800 number and get a free report. And then in the free report that is sent out, there could actually be another offer to buy a product or to fill out some application form or some free quote form, and then it could go to a sales rep. But do you see what I mean? There's multi-steps in the process. So that's all part of the customer acquisition process. And again, it's very important that all of those steps can operate without you having to be involved in any one of those steps. Now, in the very beginning, when you're getting your business off the ground, it's okay for you to be involved in the steps. So for example, you might be doing the phone calls. You might be selling one-on-one on the phone. However, what determines whether you grow your business or you stay small will be how fast you can extract yourself out of those steps and replace it with automation technology or other people. But again, this whole thing needs to be able to operate without you being there. Now, the other thing about direct response is for all the leads that are generated, there's usually an automated follow-up sequence. There is follow-up in place. It could be email follow-up, could be direct mail follow-up, phone follow-up, a number of different ways to follow up. And we're going to talk about those in this program. So let me show you some direct response marketing. If you've seen marketing like this with big headline, a big call to action, and the call to action down the bottom, go to the website or call the phone number, that is what you would call direct response marketing. Here's a few more. So these are ads. You've got a weight loss infomercial. You've got trybestlife.com. I believe that's something to do with stopping smoking. But you've got the website, you've got the price, you've got the 30-day money-back guarantee. We're going to talk about guarantees in Module 2. Very important part of the offer. And again, the phone number for the response. So this is what you call direct response marketing. Let's talk about you actually designing your customer acquisition process. And I'm going to help you along the way, but it's very important you start to think about, well, what would that multi-step sequence be? What would be the first step in my customer acquisition process to get the attention of a prospect? How would I then get their contact details? How would I then get them in front of my offer where I say, here's what I've got, here's what it will do for you, and here's how to buy it? And then how would I follow up with all the unconverted leads? Okay, so these are the kind of things that we want to start thinking about. Now, by the way, throughout this entire program, you're going to hear me say customer acquisition process, or CAP, and you're also going to hear me say sales funnel. Just know that when I say the two, they both mean the exact same thing. So a sales funnel is the same thing as a customer acquisition process. But basically, a sales funnel is a marketing system to sell your products or services. And you can see it's usually visualized with a funnel, just like this, an upside down funnel. So you can see at the very top, the leads come in, and this is from your advertising. So the leads come in, inquiries, and then they get some lead magnet. So the lead magnet could be a free gift, a free report, it could be a free strategy session with you, it could be a free quote, a free analysis. We'll talk about that. Then they get put in front of an offer. They buy a product, and then there's an additional series of other products. And this is what we call the front end and the back end. The front end are all of those products that you sell, not primarily to make a profit, but primarily to get a customer. Okay, to get a customer. That's the main point of it. And in fact, you will usually sell that at the very lowest price to make it as irresistible as possible, just so you can get a customer. And also, if you have a well-established back end, so that's an additional series of product services that you sell to existing customers, then that means that your average customer lifetime value, another concept we'll talk about later on, is going to be higher than your competitors. So you purposely keep your front end product as cheap as possible, as low margin as possible, to keep competitors out from entering your space, but also so you can maximize the number of front-end customers that you get that end up going through this funnel. The more leads and front-end buyers that you can put through the funnel, the more you're going to make on the back end. So that really is the big difference between you making, say, 5 figures and you making, say, 7 figures. It's simply volume once you've got the customer acquisition process in place. So here's a great example. This is a customer acquisition process, or a sales funnel, from Tony Robbins. Now, I don't know if you've heard of Tony Robbins. I'd be surprised if you haven't, but he's in the personal development niche, runs an enormously successful seminar company, and all of his companies combined, from what I am told, do over $1 billion in revenue per year. Now, for his personal development company, his seminar business, this is his sales funnel. So at the very start, he has the lead magnet. The lead magnet could be offered on Facebook and Twitter. So it could be something like a free report, it could be a download of an audio, it could be a series of free videos. And if you Google Tony Robbins and you go and look at his website, you will see what his lead magnets actually are. Now, another way that he's able to get leads is either him or his staff, his speaker staff, going out there and speaking on other people's stages and capturing leads that way. Expert interviews. So for example, if a television show wants to interview him, provided they have a big enough audience and an audience that he's interested in getting access to, he could do that, and that could be how he gets leads. TV show, NBC, etc. So he's got his own TV show. Infomercials, he's been doing infomercials for decades now, you might remember some of them. Radio shows and so on. So with the lead magnet, the front end of this customer acquisition process, he's not really making much money. His main focus is on acquiring a customer. Now, the next offer, our front-end offer, or his front-end offer, otherwise known as a tripwire offer, okay, it's just a fancy way of saying front-end offer, are these different courses. So for example, he's got the Body You Deserve audio course, which he sells at the time that this was made for $199. Personal Power 30-day system audio course, he sells that for $299. Awake the Giant Within book, I actually have that book, he sells that for about $15. So on all of these products, he's not making much money. In fact, if you look at all of his revenue from this business, this is not fact, but from running a similar company myself, I know this to be true, probably less than 5% of his entire revenue might come from these tripwire offers. The other 95% comes from the back end. But the tripwire offers are very important because this is how he takes a lead who hasn't spent money yet, and converts them into a customer. So this is how he builds his customer list, and then he can market his back-end products too. Then he's got his core products. So again, we might call these back-end products. Unleash the Power Within Conference. This could sell for about $1,000 to almost $3,000. Business University Conference and the Mastery University Conference. Now these could sell for $10,000 each. Profit multiplier, so this is the further back-end product. That would be his Platinum Partnership Business Coaching, which at the current time that this was done was somewhere around $65,000. Now within Mobe, it's very similar. Okay, we have our front-end products that start out at $49. We actually have some that start out at even $10. And then we will usually go to a product that might cost somewhere around, it could be a few $100s. And then we might go to a product that costs closer to, say, $2,500. So for example, the Silver Masterclass. Now, right now you're at the Gold Masterclass. This is the next back-end program in our Ascension model. But behind Gold, we have Titanium, Platinum, Diamond. And then behind Diamond, we even have mentorship packages that go right up to $100,000. Now, I'll be very honest with you, compared to how many Gold Masterclasses we sell very few of those $100,000 mentorship programs. However, the $100,000 mentorship program, it's worth more than, say, 20 times what a Gold Masterclass sale is. So if 1 out of 20 Gold Masterclass customers end up getting that program, it's the same amount of revenue. And that's what I mean when I say that you're going to make the majority of your revenue on the back end. Now, if you don't yet have a back end built out, I'm going to talk about that later on in this program, but just know that very few of us, when we start out in business, have the entire back end all planned out. In fact, when you start out, you should focus on your front end customer acquisition process, so your front end product and putting together the irresistible offer, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. And then once you can consistently get customers and you reach a certain critical mass of front-end customers, only then do you worry about building out the back end. Now you might be wondering, well, what is that critical mass? I would say anywhere above 30 to 50 front-end customers should be the minimum requirement before you even think about building out back-end programs. So what makes a great sales funnel? The front-end offer or the front-end product is very easy to say yes to. Like I said before, it's an irresistible offer. So usually it's low price point, it's got a great guarantee, it's something that people want and they want now. And then behind that, we have an automated follow-up sequence in place to take the front-end buyer and to help them ascend through our marketing sales funnel. So that's what we're going to be building in this program. So let's look at the parts of a sales funnel or a customer acquisition process. These are the main parts. Okay, now we're going to drill down on these in just a moment, but you have the opt-in page. The opt-in page can also be called lead page, lead capture page, sign up page. It's got a number of different names, but just know that they all mean effectively the same thing. I'll explain that in just a moment. We have a lead magnet. That's what we offer on the opt-in page. We have our front-end offer and we have our back-end offer. So these are the main 4 parts that we're going to be focused on putting together in this module. So it looks a little bit like this. We have our lead capture page. The lead opts in. Now, for every, say, 5 people who land on our lead capture page, we might only have 1 of those or 2 of those actually opt in. And then they will get the lead magnet. Now, the lead magnet can also be a sales video or a sales piece. It could be a direct mail sales piece, for example. But the lead magnet can actually be its own separate thing as well. So it could be something that is like a free report, and then once they consume that, then they go to your sales page or wherever you make the offer. But sometimes you can actually have the sales offer as the lead magnet itself. So I'll show you a few examples in just a moment. After that, we have the order page, and then we have the upsells. The upsells can occur at the time of sale, but also in the subsequent time after that. So in my own business, we continue to have additional offers or upsells literally for years and years. So if we get a customer, let's say that customer buys a $10 product, we're going to be marketing to them really for the rest of their life. I always say at our seminars, and I mean this a little bit with a bit of humor, but we're going to market until they buy or until they die, and that usually gets a laugh. Basically, it means that we never stop following up with our leads, especially if you're talking about online follow-up, like sending emails, because it's very cheap to do online follow-up. When you start going offline and doing things like direct mail, telemarketing follow-up, then your cost can go right up. But with online follow-up, it's very cheap, so it's very economical, and you'll find that if you keep on following up, sometimes a lead could take an entire year before they're ready to buy. In fact, at my seminars, what I like to do is I ask people, how do they first of all hear about me or hear about my company? How did they buy their first product? And then I ask, from the moment that you first heard about me or my company, you became aware of it, to the moment that you actually made the first purchase, how much time passed? And often it's about 2-3 months, but every now and again, someone's going to put up their hand and they say, it actually took me about 4 years. I think the record is currently around 5 or 6 years. Someone was literally getting my emails for over 5 years before they felt ready to buy. Okay, so you will find that in your own marketing too. Now, what I just showed you was the online sales process. We also have the offline sales process too. So everything that I'm showing you applies to online and offline. The same concept applies. With an offline sales process, it might look like this. You run an ad. The ad could be in a magazine, a newspaper, it could be on the radio, it could be in a number of different places. Phone call to get incentives. So the call to action in the ad could be call this 1-800 number. Could also be go to this website or come into our shop or our place of business. But in this case, it could be call this phone number, okay? And then we deliver the incentive, and usually when we deliver that incentive or whatever the lead magnet is, I'll talk about that in just a moment, along with that, we also have our sales piece or our sales presentation. That could be a sales video, it could be a call, a strategy session where we actually get them on the phone and one-on-one we complete the sale. But along with the lead magnet, that's where we're going to have our sales piece. So let's drill down a little bit deeper. This is what you call an opt-in page. It's very simple. Now, typically, this is going to be online. People will land on the page. It's very simple. You'll notice that you don't have a lot of different options with menus. You don't have anything here that's going to distract them from the main purpose of this page. And the main purpose of this page is not to get a sale. It's not to brand you. Okay, it's not to really even educate your prospect. Really the only purpose of this entire page is to get some contact details so that we can follow up. That's the only purpose. And the only purpose of the ad that comes before this is to get people to this page. Again, the ad, we're not trying to sell the product usually. We're not trying to build our brand usually. We're trying to get someone in front of our opt-in page so we can collect their contact details and we can follow up. The right bait. This is something I learned from one of my marketing mentors, Dan Kennedy. But Dan Kennedy talks about how if you wanted to go, say, hunting, let's say you're into that and you wanted to hunt bears, not that I would ever do anything like that, but if you did and you were putting out bait, you would want to use the right bait. Now, if you use something like cheese as your bait, you're probably going to get something showing up, but it's unlikely to be a bear. It might be a rat. So with your marketing that you do, your opt-in page, you're going to offer something in exchange for their contact details. Make sure that what you're offering is going to attract the right audience. It's very, very important. So here's an example. I had a colleague who's in the real estate seminar business and they teach real estate investing. And a lot of their marketing was talking about how you don't need any money to do this strategy. You don't even really need a job. They didn't say that directly, but they had lots of testimonials from people who didn't have a job and had been successful. And what he noticed was that when people showed up to his seminar, they weren't in a position where they could actually buy anything because they didn't have any money. Many of them were unemployed. So he was attracting an audience, but it was the wrong audience. So you've got to be very careful about what you offer. If you want to attract affluent individuals who are in a position to buy right now, then you've got to make sure that in your marketing and on your opt-in page, all of your language is attracting that person, or it's appealing to that person. And whatever you offer in exchange for their contact details, it should be something that screams out all the wrong people. I'll give you another example. At some of our live events, we had a lot of people who were in the young 20s and at college showing up. And possibly it's because they saw me and they heard my story about how I was a college dropout before I started my e-commerce business. Now, even though we will train anyone, okay, as long as they're willing to invest in their own education, we will train anyone. Even though that's the case, we were having a lot of college students show up who they weren't in a position to buy, and they weren't really serious about building a business. Overall, they weren't. So we had to change our marketing and deliberately screen out those people and say that it's probably not going to be for them. And then we had to more clearly define who it's going to be for. So for example, people in the baby boomer age category, that's our biggest market. Okay, so people looking to start a business, people looking to create an additional income source for their retirement. We had to really talk about that in our marketing. So you got to have the right bait. Dan Kennedy says this, he says, always match the bait to the critter. So in other words, whatever critter, whatever person that you're trying to attract in your business, make sure you have the right bait for that person. And also make sure that you proactively screen out all the wrong people too. Most people get poor results from marketing because they use no bait. Okay, they don't have very good bait, they have lousy bait, or they have the wrong bait. So we're going to first of all define who exactly are we targeting. Now, we went through that before, so hopefully you actually wrote down your customer avatar and you know exactly who this person actually is. If you didn't do that, please pause this video right now and go and do that, because otherwise you're not going to get the benefit of this entire module or even the entire course. So it's really important. Let's talk about building your list. And I want to give a message to anyone who already has a business, regardless of how successful it is. But if you already have prospects who come into your place of business or who go to your website or who interact with you, and you're not currently collecting their contact details, my biggest piece of advice I can give to you is start collecting contact details immediately. If you were to do this one thing, just this one thing, whatever you invested in this program would pay for itself many, many times over. Okay, so if you have an existing business and you are not collecting contact details of leads, start doing it immediately. Okay, that's the highest leverage thing you could do right now. And I'll show you some ways in just a moment. But your list of subscribers or of prospects, it really is your biggest and most valuable asset. And it's a very special type of asset. Unlike a real estate asset or precious metals asset or a investing in the stock market kind of asset, your list is the only asset that has the ability to create income at will. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is when you have a list of prospects, targeted prospects from your targeted advertising, you can send out some kind of communication like direct mail, an email follow-up, some kind of communication, and you can literally create income on demand. So for example, every so often I will send out an email, put together a last-minute webinar where I will teach something to my audience, something that they would be interested in, that access the bait to actually get them there and to come and consume my marketing. And then at the very end, if I feel it's appropriate, which I usually do, I'm going to make an offer. Okay, I'm going to sell a product or some kind of program I have. And I can literally have 10,000 US, 50,000 US, sometimes a lot more, come in a very short amount of time, at least in terms of revenue, not always profit, but in revenue. And I can create that money pretty much out of thin air just from sending out the marketing and making an offer. So here's my point to you. If you're not building a list right now, you can't do that. But if you start building a list, again, that list will become the most valuable asset you have. If you took away everything from me, if you took away all of my products, all of my staff, all of our offices, all of it, as long as I could keep my list, okay, which right now is about 700,000 email subscribers, not all active, but that's what it is. As long as I could keep that list, I could rebuild the entire thing. It wouldn't be very nice, but I could rebuild it within about a year, so fairly quickly. But if you took away my list and you left me with everything else, then it would take a lot longer than 1 year to rebuild the entire thing. So like I said, if you have an existing business and you're not currently capturing leads, start immediately. And I don't care what sort of business you have, you might think that your business does not lend itself well to collecting contact details, but with enough creativity, there's always a way that you can find a reason or an excuse to ask someone for their contact details in your marketing process. So here's a few examples. Let's say that you have some kind of restaurant. Typically a restaurant owner would say, well, I have people walk in, they walk out. There's no way that I can collect contact details. I mean, how many restaurants do you go into where they actually collect your contact details? Well, more and more of them are starting to do it these days because they've caught on to how valuable it is to have a list. But let's say that you were a restaurant owner, you need to come up with some way where you can actually ask for their contact details. It could be a membership club, some kind of membership club where they get a card, they're able to get discounts or better seating or some special kind of service. Maybe it's a free meal on their birthday. Okay, but you get the point. You find a reason to ask for their contact details and you start building a list. And it could be just you give that to your waiters, waitresses, and as part of their process of presenting the bill, they also present that piece, that marketing piece where you're collecting the contact details. Now, whatever business you have, thinking along those kind of lines. How can you find a reason to start asking for someone's contact details? So membership cards work well. Again, it could be a free meal. I mean, that's just an example, but any sort of business that you can tell me with enough creativity, we can think of a reason to collect contact details. So let's talk about your opt-in page. This is the start of the entire process. Let's actually look at a few really good opt-in pages. I'm going to show you a few samples. So here's one of mine. This one is very simple. So what I'm doing here is I'm simply offering a free report. Now the free report is called the 10 questions you absolutely must ask before choosing a home-based business. So what I'm selling here is some course that teaches someone how to make money online from home through affiliate marketing. Rather than selling them that right up front, what I'm doing is I'm collecting a list of interested prospects through this opt-in page, and my bait here is the report. Now the report is very simple. It's literally about 12 pages long. In fact, I will put it below this video so you can go and see it. But it's very simple, and I didn't even write it. I actually found someone who could write the content. I paid them maybe $400 or $500, and I got on a phone call with them, and within about 30 minutes I told them, here's the main points to make, and then they went and wrote it. Okay, so you can actually create these very quickly, very easily. You don't have to do all the work yourself. And you can see the call to action is quite simple. It says, enter your best email address for free instant access. Notice how many times we say free. We say free at the top, we say free in the call to action, and we say free on the call to action button. The button itself says, get the free report. If you're offering a video, you would change it to get your free video or get instant access to the video, but always have a very good call to action button after they submit their contact details. A big mistake a lot of people make is they have something generic like subscribe now or submit. Okay, so use a much better call to action for that. Now, as soon as people opt into this, in other words, as soon as they give me their email address, they are then taken to a thank you page where they can download the report. Another thing you can do for those of you who are marketing online is you can actually deliver it by email address. So in other words, they opt into this page, but they don't get the report on the thank you page. it actually gets emailed to them. Now, why would we want to do that? Well, sometimes people are going to give you fake email addresses. So by actually emailing it to them and saying that, being very clear on the opt-in page that that's how we're going to deliver it, then we can make sure that most of the time we're going to get a legitimate contact detail. Here's another example. So this is for a traffic course that I have. Notice the headline. This traffic system gets you massive amounts of traffic and turns it into immediate and recurring cash. So the audience that we have for this particular offer, that's what they want. They want fast cash, they want leads, they want a system, and they want it in large quantities, so massive. So that's the headline we have. And our lead magnet here, and I'll go into more details about lead magnets and what they are in just a moment, but here it's a free video. So it says, free video reveals how to get quality traffic using the best traffic methods working today, taught by real in the trenches traffic experts. So you'll notice that all of these bullet points are benefits. They're not features, they're benefits. And we'll talk about the differences between the two a little bit later on. But it's very important that we have benefits. So what's it actually do for the person who's going to get the gift? Notice our call to action. It's very clear. Enter your email to get instant access to your free video. Free instant access. So you'll notice that there's not many distractions. Actually, there's not any distractions on this page. Everything on this page has only one purpose, and that's to get someone to enter in their email address and subscribe to capture the lead. Here's another one. Now you'll notice that a lot of these have to do with make money online. So a part of my business is I teach internet marketing. I teach people who want to learn how to generate money online from home. I teach them exactly how to do that with what we call high ticket affiliate marketing. So that's why you'll see a lot of these offers. They're all about getting more traffic, being able to make money online. So this one's called Patriot Funnel System. This is a $49 product. And the first step of this customer acquisition process is a headline that's story-based. It says, discover how a war veteran uncovered the secret to earning up to $3,300 per day from his sweatbox living quarters in Afghanistan. Copy his secret and you can too. It's much easier than you think. Okay, so that's our headline. Call to action, top secret free video reveal strategy for limited time. Enter your best email and watch now. Part of the reason why we say best email is because a lot of your audience, if you are capturing email addresses, they have several different email addresses. And they will usually have one that they check a little bit more often than all the other ones. So by adding that extra one little word, your best email, they're usually going to give you the very best one. So here's another one. This one's also for a $49 product. It's actually for the exact same product, but it's different marketing, so a different sales video. So this one, the headline, again, it's all about a story, but it's about intrigue. So it says, how a brain-damaged man can help you earn up to $1,000 in daily commissions working from home as little as 60 minutes per day. I will put links to all of these below this video, so you can go and check them out. Feel free to model them. Feel free to model the format. If this is completely different to whatever niche you're in, which I imagine that for most of you it will be, model the format. Okay, you can take this exact format and you can apply it to just about any other business with enough creativity. Now, what happens is when they opt in, they're either going to get the video that we promised, or in the case of the report, they might land on a page like this. So this is what we call our thank you page. So this is where we actually deliver what we said we would give them. So in this case, it's an ebook or it's a report. They click the button, they download it, and then within the lead magnet itself, that's where we advance them to the next stage in our customer acquisition process. So if you download this ebook, which again, I will put below this video, then you will notice that in every single footer part of the text, there's a call to action to go to a video, go and watch a video, and it's actually a sales video. Now, whatever you offer for free, your lead magnet, it's got to be really desirable for your target audience. If it's not desirable, you're going to get what's called a low opt-in rate. So instead of getting, say, 30%, you might only get 20%. Now, the difference could only be a couple percentage points. It could be the difference between 27% opt-in rates and 25% opt-in rates. And you might think, well, that's not really a big deal, 2%. It is a big deal because remember, this is at the very front of your sales funnel. So the sales funnel starts right at the top and it narrows down. The greatest potential for leveraged increments in your response rates and how much money you make comes at the top of the funnel. In other words, it comes at these earliest stages, like here with the lead magnet and the lead capture page. So every little tweak that we make that optimizes that response rate can equal a lot of money on the back end. So it's very important. Here's another one. So I thought I would also include this because I wanted to show you that this can be applied to many different businesses and many different courses. What you're looking at here is the homepage of donaldjtrump.com. Now, whatever you think of Donald Trump, one thing you've got to give him credit for is he is a talented marketer of his brand, and also with what he does with his website too. So on his website, he says, sign up to receive updates from Donald J. Trump. Now he's collecting first name, last name, email address, phone number, and actually physical mailing address. Know this, the more details that you ask for up front, the more valuable your lead magnet has to be. So normally, I myself, I would never ask for this much up front from a brand new prospect, someone who's never seen me before. He can possibly get away with it because his fans, or the people who want to hear from him, they might trust him, so they might feel comfortable giving him all these details. They have very likely heard of him and know his brand. But normally you would never do this. Okay, you would never ask for this much contact details up front because you can always get those additional contact details later on. So that's why I ask for an email address usually up front. I will get the physical mailing address usually when they buy a product because we have to ask for the billing details. And as for a phone number, I will usually get that at the point of the order as well. But I won't usually ask for a phone number up front. So the more we ask for, the less opt-in rate we're going to have, the less amount of leads we're going to get, but also the more qualified our response will be. Only the most interested prospects will go ahead and enter in all of those details. Many of them won't because they will think, well, why do I need to give you all of my contact details? Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't ask for, say, a phone number up front or a physical mailing address, but when you are going to ask for those additional contact details, always offer a reason why. So if you're going to ask for a phone number, have a little disclaimer that says, the reason why I want your phone number is I'm going to have someone from my company follow up and do this. Follow up and give a free quote, a free strategy session, but always offer a reason why. If you're going to ask for a physical mailing address, well, you would say, well, the reason why I need that is because I'm going to send you this, okay, in the mail. So your lead magnet, think of your lead magnet as your bait. So back to this same example with the report, that report is the bait. It's what you offer in exchange for their contact details. Creating your own lead magnet. Let's talk about how you can put this whole thing together. So sometimes, in fact, most of the time, when I create a lead magnet, I will combine it with the sales piece as well. So it could be a sales video, it could be a sales letter, but the sales piece has enough value in it that people would want to get the content or want to get it, but it's also selling at the same time. So in this case, this is for a lead capture page called MTTB, My Top Tier Business. The headline says, free video reveals a 21-step business system that deposits $1,000, $3,000, $5,000 commissions directly into your bank account. And it says, if you want to get access to this video where I will share with you the method, enter your email address. So they opt in, and on the very next page, there's about a 25-minute video that gives some content. It explains how this is possible with high-ticket affiliate marketing, but at the end of it, it also makes an offer, a $49 price point offer. You want to deliver your lead magnet right away. So if someone opts in and you say they're going to get instant access, make sure they really do. So make sure you have your email autoresponder set up, and I'll show you how to do that later on when we get into the technical side of things. But make sure that you deliver right away, okay, as quickly as you possibly can. The experience that you give them up front will set the tone for the rest of the interaction. So if you do a really good job of delivering in your lead magnet, and they really enjoy it and they really get a lot of value out of it, that's a great start to the relationship. Okay, but if you do a really poor job, if you don't deliver the lead magnet or it's not very good, then why would they want to buy something from you? Often I will see marketers throw together a lead magnet and it's really just not that good. And it really just, it destroys all of their marketing. So by no means am I saying try and get it perfect right from the very start. Remember, we want to create the minimum viable product, but I am saying that if it's not perfect, if it's not great, optimize it as soon as you can once it goes live. Let's have a look at some examples of different lead magnets. So this is all from clickbank.com. Clickbank.com's a platform where people sell digital training products or information products, and this is in the art and entertainment category. So this is an offer where this business owner, they're selling courses that teach people how to sing. And it says, discover a breakthrough method that will skyrocket your singing ability. Improve your singing voice, sing with better control, and gain up to a full octave in your vocal range. So that's what they offer on their homepage. On their opt-in page or squeeze page, they say, get my free vocal training video. Get instant access to my free vocal training video with 3 tips to improve your singing voice, plus my #1 vocal training exercise. So it's fairly standard, but he's offering here a video. You can put together a video, that can be your lead magnet. And here's the sales page for it as well. So the sales page is actually a sales video, and at the very end, the call to action is buy now, and you can pay 3 payments of $39.95 or 1 payment of $97 and save 20%. So that's the whole process. And then the order form like that. Okay, so that's a very simple customer acquisition process. Now, simple as this might seem, someone could make literally hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars from such a simple process. Here's one for Ty Lopez. Now, Ty Lopez, he is in the personal development niche, you would call it, and he's promoting a course here called The 67 Steps. And headline says, only 5% of people will ever learn how to use this secret formula. What is your biggest frustration? I don't make enough money. I wish I could be healthier. It's hard for me to make friends. I haven't been happy for a while. All or several of the above. So what they're doing here is they're segmenting people as they come in. So if someone chooses, I don't make enough money, my bet is that once Ty gets that email subscriber, he's only going to send them make money online or make money products. If they choose, I wish I could be healthier, then he's going to send them health-related products because he has several different niches that he's in. And here's the order page. So the order page restates all the benefits. So we will get to this a little bit later on. We'll go into more detail on what makes a good order page. But again, very simple process. Now, let's have a look at some in the internet marketing niche. So this is the internet marketing niche, and this is George Brown. And he is an internet marketer. This offer is called Google Sniper, and they have sold a lot of this course. It's been one of the best sellers on ClickBank for a very long time. So the squeeze page is very simple. Okay, it's very simple. And the headline is very simple as well. $2,293.26 per day from my laptop. And you can download it here. Get full access for just $1. So in this case, he's actually making them buy the product before they can even opt in. Okay, but it's working very well. And the order page looks a little bit like this. So you're just one step away from getting access. Great spots are still available, so they're leveraging some scarcity. What you want to do is when you're online or when you're offline looking at your competitors' customer acquisition processes, make sure you save them and start building yourself a swipe file. Now, a swipe file is where you collect all the marketing materials of successful competitors, and you want to use it just as inspiration, not to copy it, but as inspiration. So whenever I see something like this, I will always make sure that I bookmark it and I study it. I ask myself, what makes this so successful? And how can I model it in my own marketing, in my own customer acquisition process? So here's another category. This one's about getting translator jobs. Okay, so people who want to start making money from a job. Translator jobs, urgent. Can you speak English? Can you speak Malay? Companies need you. Limited positions, join today. So the call to action, first name and email address. Get started in 5 minutes, get paid on time. So you notice that all of these businesses, they all start with a lead capture page. Okay, and then after that, it takes them to a sales video, and for a $34 price point and full 60-day money-back guarantee, they can get started. Same within the health category too. So this is a course about diabetes, and it's a simple sales video. It starts off with a very intriguing story. We have to amputate your legs today, and then it goes into the story. So in this one, this is the squeeze page. This is a top-selling course. They go to a sales page, and that's where they first collect an email address as part of their ordering process. So there's several ways you can do this. You can collect the contact details at the point of order. The benefit is that you're going to get more people in front of that sales piece. Sales video, sales letter, you're actually going to get more people in front of it. The disadvantage is that you're not collecting leads up front, so if people don't buy, which for any business most of them won't, then that person can now go away and be lost forever. Okay, they might never come back. So here's another one for the fitness category. So this one's about a muscle that will get you looking great, eliminate back pain, anxiety, and also prevent you from looking fat, all while permanently boosting your energy levels, immune system, sexual function, strength and athletic performance in as little as 15 minutes. It sounds pretty good. And nobody knows how to unlock it. So the whole thing is built around a big promise and intrigue. They go to a sales page and then they order. Here's another one. So this one's about language. Rocket Spanish, the award-winning system that gets you speaking Spanish and loving Spanish culture. And the best thing is, it only takes minutes a day. One of the most important parts about your opt-in page is that it's got to offer immediate gratification. So the faster they can get the benefit, the better. They can download the report and get the answers right away. They can watch a video, or they can implement whatever you're going to tell them, and for just a few minutes per day, they can start seeing results. If there's any way that you can do that in your business, offer immediate gratification or some level of immediate gratification. And here's one more. So this is a course about parenting. So it says, free report. Discover the 3 laws you must follow if you want a diaper-free child in just 3 days. So there's your immediate gratification. Enter your main email. So again, they use the word main, or you can use best. Enter your main email below to instantly, there's the immediate gratification, receive this free report in your ebook. So they make sure that they say free in several different places. You can see it on the call to action button. You can see it on the call to action below the picture of the report. And you can also see it in the main headline above that report. And also you can see a diaper-free child. So they've actually mentioned it now 4 times. 4 times on the right-hand side of the page. Make sure you do the same. Okay, mention the word free. If you're offering something for free, which you will be, mention it 2, 3, 4 times. The more you mention it, all other things being equal, usually the better. Now then they take you right to the sales page. Okay, so this is where they have a sales video. And again, we will put links to all of this so you can go and see it. And they say you can try the product for a 14-day risk-free trial. Now, they're not giving it away for free, but it is risk-free. Now, if you offer a money-back guarantee, which again we're going to talk about a little bit later on, you can say the same thing. It is risk-free if you offer a money-back guarantee. There's no risk, So it's another way that you can mention the word free. So I want to talk about Agora Publishing. Now, you might not have heard of Agora Publishing, but in the information publishing industry, they are quite well known. They have sold hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of products. I believe they do somewhere over $200 million per year in annual revenue. And here's the thing about Agora. They will have their very best, most talented marketers working on the front end of all their marketing. So in other words, putting together the front end sales videos, the lead capture pages or opt-in pages, all of that goes to their very most talented marketers. And that's where they make the majority of their money, on the front end. There's a common misconception that most of the money is made on the back end. And even though you can sell much more expensive and much higher margin products on the back end, without the front end, no one ever sees the back end. So the front end, really, that's the greatest leverage point to make more money in your business. So let's talk about ideas for creating your lead magnet. So how are you going to put it together and how do you get it done really quick? I'm going to show you some ways. So first of all, you can interview an expert. You can find someone in your industry, your type of business. It could even be yourself, and someone could actually interview you. And you can record it so you can actually get an audio interview, or you can record it and then have it transcribed and turn it into a free report. So if you are going to interview an expert, let me tell you about the best way of doing it. First of all, you got to find the expert. If you have to pay them some money, then do it. The most important thing here is that you get someone who's going to give really good content, and this is going to become the front end part of your marketing. So it's not the area to try and skimp and save. You want to get the very best that you possibly can. And if you're brand new in business and you don't yet have a lot of credibility in your space, find a competitor or find someone who's in a related part of your business, maybe not competing directly with you, but maybe they supply to your sort of business or they're in the after sales from your business. But as long as they have credibility or some kind of celebrity factor, you can leverage that. I'll give you an example. At our free live events that we do all over the world, it's a short 90-minute free live event. What one of our very top affiliates did is, because they recognized that a lot of our audience, our potential audience out there, and especially in America, many of them haven't yet heard of me. Okay, I mean, I have quite a lot of people on my list, a few 100,000, but in America alone, there's hundreds of millions of people. Okay, it's a very big country. So most of them have not heard about me. So a lot of them who are getting our marketing, they had heard of another guy called Kevin Harrington. Now, Kevin Harrington was a TV celebrity, and he was on the show Shark Tank. So what this top affiliate did, they're actually our number one affiliate. They've done over $10 million in commissions. They created marketing all around Kevin Harrington with Kevin's permission, of course, and they had to pay a fee to do this. But they realized that a lot of the audience who hadn't heard of me would have heard of Kevin. So they leveraged his credibility and his celebrity factor. You can do the same thing in your interview. When you do your interview, keep it short and focus around one topic. Okay, so what do you think is more powerful? If I say to you, I'm going to do an interview with Michael Gerber, who's the author of the book, The E-Myth, a very great book in the business category at least. So what would be more compelling to you? If I said that I had an interview called Matt Lloyd Interviews Michael Gerber, or if I had an interview that said, that was called How to Introduce Automation into Your Business so that you can make more sales, have less stress, and make a lot more money, and never have to work more than 2 hours per day. Okay, now that's a terrible headline, that's on the spot, but you get the point. If you focus your interview around one specific topic rather than you interview a person, it's going to be much more compelling, and when you feature it on your lead capture page, people are going to want it much more, so you're going to get a lot more leads. So here's some examples. This is what we do on our Inner Circle newsletter, where we have this part called Ask the Experts. And we go and find business experts. We interview them. The interview goes for about an hour, up to 90 minutes. And then we transcribe it and turn it into a report that we send to our paying members. So you could do the exact same thing. You could find the expert, transcribe it, have the whole thing edited, and for less than, say, $500, you could have a really compelling, really valuable lead magnet. Now, you can also offer the audio version of the interview. Sometimes people don't want to read. Sometimes they want to download the audio and take it with them, put it on their phone and take it with them. So if you're going to do that, here's my tips. Don't have 50 different questions. You only need to have 7 to 10 questions. Let the person you're interviewing do 95% of the talking. So if you don't know what to say, that's good. You just need to know what questions to ask. And if they're passionate about the topic, which hopefully they should be if you've chosen the right person, then just let them do all the talking. Think of questions that address your target market's biggest problems and provide a solution. And if you're going to record the whole thing, I recommend you just use Skype. So you can call them on Skype and then just record using some Skype plugin. And you can actually just get the MP3 version of the audio. Now here's the format to use. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. So in other words, you start off with an introduction and you say, hi everyone, welcome to this audio interview with this person. In this audio interview, you're going to learn this, you're going to learn that, you're going to learn this. Introduce your guest, give a little bit of a background about them. Or if it's someone interviewing you, then you reverse the roles. And then, that's the intro, then actually go into the content and then summarize it at the very end. So you've learned this, you've learned that, you've learned this. So that's what you do. Now, where do you go and find these experts? I'm going to give you one website where you can go and find experts on just about any category you could imagine. And it's called RTIR Online, rtironline.com. This is where people go if they are trying to build themselves up as an expert or as a guru, because that's their business. And they will list their contact details here, just hoping that someone from the media or someone will come and do an interview with them so they can get exposure. So if you go to this website, you're going to see categories in, an example, health and fitness, food and cooking, religion, science, self-help. I won't read them all out, but I will put a link to this below the video. There's all kinds of different categories, and it's very likely that whatever business you're in, you're going to be able to find a related category for you. Let's talk about offering a free report. So if you don't offer a transcribed version of the interview, how else can you get a free report done? Well, let me show you a few examples of this. I showed you the one before about the 10 questions to ask before you start a business. Another free guide that I have, it's actually more of a free book. It's a book called Limitless. Okay, so it's a book that I wrote. I gave myself 3 days to write the first draft, and I wrote pretty much non-stop for about 30 hours. So this wasn't exactly an easy lead magnet to create, but it's very valuable. And on the page where I offer this, I'm able to get $10 for shipping and handling, and I'm actually able to get phone number, physical mailing address, obviously, because we have to send it to the person, and of course, email address. So that's the free guide. Now, you don't have to go and write an entire book for this. You could do something much shorter. I personally recommend that if you're not a good writer, take out your phone, find the audio recording feature, and talk into your phone, record the entire thing for about an hour. If you're passionate about your business or your category, that won't be hard. And then send it to someone, have them transcribe it. And if you send it then to another writer, and you can find all of these people on a website called upwork.com. You can find them all there for very cheap, and they can be very good as well. But if you have them actually take the transcription and turn it into a report, you can get this done very quick. In fact, within about 3 days from now, you could have the entire thing done if you wanted to, if you were motivated enough. Another thing you can do is you can do a consumer awareness guide. So this is like a free report, but it's related to how does your consumer choose whatever product or service they're trying to buy that you're also selling. So an example of this would be Joe Polish. Joe Polish is a marketing trainer, but before he got into teaching marketing, he used to actually clean carpets, and he was very successful at it. He built a business cleaning carpets, and he hired a lot of people, built a very successful business. And what he would do is he would have a consumer awareness guide about carpet cleaning. And in the guide, he would talk about how to choose a carpet cleaner, who to avoid, who to hire, what to look for in a good carpet cleaner, how to tell if they're doing a good job. But everything in that awareness guide set up the sale for him and position him as being the best choice. Now, of course, you as the business owner, you should believe that out of all your competitors, you are the best choice. But when you put this together, everything is structured in such a way that when people read it, you are the natural choice. They want to work with you. They want to buy from you. You can also do a free video. So if you're comfortable in front of a video camera, if you're comfortable talking, which I certainly wasn't, I wasn't when I started out back in 2009, being in front of a video camera was about the last thing I ever wanted to do. But if you are now comfortable in front of a camera, then you can do a free video. And I do a lot of videos these days. So standing in front of a video camera, imagine that it's a face, a person, and explain to them whatever topic you're in. But whatever you give in your content, it should set up the sale. It should set up the next step in your customer acquisition process. You can also do a free webinar. So you can host a free webinar or free teleconference call. You can use something like gotowebinar.com. It's very easy to use. But everyone who registers for the free webinar, you're collecting an email address. You might also be collecting names as well. But then you can take all of those leads, and that can become your lead acquisition method. So here's some examples. I do a lot of webinars. In fact, I do a webinar every single week, and once I do the webinar, I then automate it, and each one of them becomes another customer acquisition process. As you build your business and scale your business, you're actually going to start building out multiple customer acquisition processes. So here's some examples of different webinar registration pages that I've got. In order to register for the webinar, they have to give me their email address. So feel free to model any of these. You can also do a free event. So a free event can be a great way to get someone's contact details. If you're not opposed to doing public speaking, or if you have a partner or someone who can go and do that for you, then you can do a free live event in your local area. Mobe actually does free live events all around the world. We actually are probably doing one right now somewhere in America as I'm speaking right now. And our free live event, it's 90 minutes. We invite people in the local area to come. We use mainly direct mail, radio ads, and also online. But they receive our marketing, they register, they show up. And those leads are worth a lot. The ones that come from our direct mail, they can be worth $70 per lead. Okay, just for a name, email, and often a physical mailing address, about $70 per lead. They're very targeted leads, they're very responsive leads, especially if they came from direct mail or radio ads, because they actually had to walk over to their computer and register, or they had to actually call a 1-800 number and go through the whole registration process. The more difficulty someone has to become a lead, the more valuable that lead usually is. So if all someone has to do is click on an ad and then fill out click on an ad online, say on Facebook, and fill out an email address, that lead usually won't be anywhere near as valuable as someone who got a direct mail piece, okay, in their mailbox, and then walked over to their computer and then sat down and entered their details. So the third part of this process is your thank you page. This is where you deliver your lead magnet. It's fairly self-explanatory. It's just a one page where you say, hey, here's your free gift, and you thank them. And you also want to make sure you also set up the next part of the process. So if you then want them to go and watch a sales video or call in on a number, tell them that. Say step 1, step 2. Actually spell that out. Now on step 4, this is where we're going to have our sales piece. I mentioned before that we can combine our lead magnet with our sales piece and we can make them into two. But sometimes you'll keep them separate. So it's really just a matter of testing. You're going to want to try both. But your sales video, this is where we get to make an offer. And how much money we make on the front end, how many front end customers we get, it's going to be a function of how many people we get in front of this sales piece. So if we're stopping a lot of people from getting in front of this because we don't have a very compelling lead magnet, then we're probably not going to make a lot of front end sales. Now, after that, and we will go into a lot of detail on creating that sales piece and creating your irresistible offer, but after that, we then have our follow-up. Now, we have an entire module devoted to follow-up, so I'll just give you a few pointers here. Every bit of follow-up we do, whether it's direct mail follow-up, email follow-up, webinar follow-up, social media follow-up, whatever follow-up we do, each piece of content needs to advance the sale. So in other words, when they consume that content, are they left desiring your product or your service more? And if not, then the content is a complete waste of time. Everything that we do, every piece of content, everything we do in our marketing, its purpose is to move them closer to wanting to make a buying decision with your business. If it doesn't achieve that purpose, then it's a lost opportunity. So we have front-end offers and we have back-end offers. We will go into a lot more detail on these a little bit later on. But for example, in Mob, a front-end offer could be MTTB, a $49 product, and a back-end offer could be one of our old ones we once had called the MLR program, which was $2,500. So we went from $49 to $2,500. Now we would typically have about 1 out of 8, 1 out of 10, sometimes a little bit less than that, of the front-end buyers become a back-end buyer. So in other words, for every 10 $49 buyers, maybe one of them might get the $2,500 program. Those are the kind of numbers you're going to see. Okay, now your business, it might be completely different. It really depends on what your follow-up strategy is after. But just to recap, your front-end offer is not there to make you a big profit. It is there to acquire a customer. With Mob, with us offering MTTB, we make practically nothing on that. We really don't, because we end up paying out most of the $49. If it's to an affiliate, we pay them literally 95% of that. And we're left with 5%, which doesn't even cover merchant fees. And if it's from our own marketing, this won't even pay for our marketing. So your front-end offer is not there to make you a lot of profit. It is there simply to acquire you a customer. On the back end, that's where you get to make your profits. Costs incurred on the front end are considered marketing expenses. Your back end offers, this is where you get to convert customers into repeat buyers, so they get to come back. The beautiful thing about a back-end offer is that you don't have to pay the marketing cost to get the customer again. Once they become a customer, now we don't have to go and pay our marketing cost to get them to become a customer. And I know that probably sounds really obvious and like common sense, but so many people go and spend all this time, energy, money getting customers, and then they don't follow up. They don't make back-end offers. If you're in business right now and you have a customer database, one guaranteed way to make a lot more money is to do just a lot more repeat offers to your existing buyers list. Again, sounds like common sense, but so many business owners out there that I talk to, they're not following up enough with their buyers list. They're not making enough offers. Now, in my business model, our front-end offers are usually under $50. They could be $10, $20, $49 is a common price point, but that's usually where they are priced. Your front-end offer is an important part of the sales process. It converts prospects from leads into customers. Here's a great example, Agora Publishing. Now, Agora Publishing, I talked about this before. I said that they were doing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. They have done well over $400 million in revenue so far, but they spend a lot of money every single year on the very best direct response copywriters ever. They get the very best people on their team. And often, if you ask someone, well, where would those copywriters be? Are they writing copy for the back end or the front end? Most people would say, well, the back end, right? because that's where they're going to make the majority of their money. But no, they actually don't. They put their very best copywriters on the front end to acquire new customers, because the back end can be quite forgiving. It really can. Once you've got a front end buyer, if you then follow up and you send them a back end offer, like a sales letter in the mail for a back end offer, even if you mess that up, you get a second chance at it usually. You get a third chance, you get a fourth chance. But if you mess up the front end marketing, well, maybe you'll never get that customer in the first place. So that $49 customer that could have potentially gone on to spend $40, $50, $100,000 later on, you will never see any of that money because you missed out on the front end sales. That's why Agora puts their very best talented copywriters on the front end. Now your back end products, usually these could be a few $1,000s and up, but it really depends on your business model. You might be in a business model where you're selling products that could be $1 million and upwards. You could be selling some kind of machine, some kind of program that to implement could take half a year. So your price points may be very different to mine. So let's look at a few examples of different customer acquisition processes or sales funnels. So grasshopper.com, this is basically a service where you can get a 1-800 number and you can forward it to any number you want. We actually use them a little bit within Mobe, within our 1-800 numbers. So the start of their entire process is this. This is their website, and it says, turn the world into your office. Grasshopper lets you run your business using your cell phones. So you can keep a number, you can forward all kinds of other numbers to you, you can set up voicemail, all of that. Now, their 4-step sales funnel process, they get traffic from press releases, blogs, ads, etc. People land on this page. They could have a press release or a piece of content like this. The lead goes to their homepage, which might look like this. Now on their homepage, here's their call to action. They say, see how it works. That's going to take them to a product demonstration. And they already start talking about the guarantee, 30-day money-back guarantee. See how in 2 minutes. So they have a short video demo that explains the whole service in under 2 minutes. Now on their sign-up page, this is what it looks like. They have different options. So they start out at about $12 a month. They go right up to $199 a month. So these are their different plans. Again, 30-day money-back guarantee, no long-term contracts. And also, they put here most popular. Now, when you add in little icons like that, that can often really influence your audience. They have 2 cheaper programs below. And my guess is, and I don't know this for a fact, but my guess is they probably added the most popular to the program that they had optimized their business model in terms of revenue that they wanted to do. So if they looked at all of their different products and they worked out, well, what's the optimal way that we could increase our revenue? Well, it would be to get more people getting the grow level, which is $49 a month. So that by adding in most popular, they can influence the decision of their audience. Now, they then go to the order page, which is fairly standard, and someone creates their account after entering their credit card details. This is a very successful company. So it's a very simple customer acquisition process, but you can see it doesn't need to be that complicated, even for your business. Netflix. Okay, so let's have a look at Netflix. So Netflix allows people to watch movies, television shows, and their customer acquisition process is really simple. Look at their sales copy. Watch anywhere, cancel anytime. So the main thing that they allow or that they make possible is watching your video content and being mobile. You can watch it from anywhere in the world. It can be on your phone, it could be at home, it could be at work, but watch anywhere. So that's one of their main benefits. But one of the biggest reasons why people wouldn't buy is that they're worried that, am I going to be locked into a contract? So they make it very clear, cancel anytime. And then the call to action button says, join free for a month. Okay, again, free, join free for a month. So they've completely taken out the risk. People click that button and they go and they start their free month. So it's easy, it's effortless. When you put together your customer acquisition process, I'm going to give you here a very useful analogy. And I believe I talked about this in the Silver Masterclass, so you might have heard this before, but your entire process should be like one of those slides that you probably used as a kid, and it should be like a well-greased slide. So what I mean by that is, imagine a slide that was old and it was slightly rusted, and when you try and slide down it, you get stuck halfway because there's too much friction. Most business owners, if they do have a customer acquisition process, that's what they have. There's rust, there's friction, and so people who come into that process don't get all the way through. Whereas the really good businesses, they find ways to essentially sand that slide, buff that slide, and then pour oil, lubricant down the slide so that when someone starts at the top, with the sliders pushed, they effortlessly slide down to the very bottom. That's how you want your customer acquisition process to be. Here's another one. So this is Basecamp. Basecamp is a very successful company, and what they sell is project management software. We actually have used them here at Mob. We now use something else. And by the way, if you're listening to all these examples and you're thinking, well, these are online examples, I want you to know that even if you have an offline business, the same concepts can be applied to your business too. So this is where they start out with, sign up now for free below. Just last week, 7,568 companies got started with Basecamp 3. So what are they doing here? Social proof. They're communicating to that person, to their audience, that you're not the only one. Lots and lots of people use us. We're very popular, and there's safety in numbers. Later on in this program, we're going to talk about influence, and Robert Cialdini, the author of the book Influence, his 6 main triggers of influence, and social proof is one of them. It's a very powerful influencer. So sign up now for free, enter your name, email, company, and password. So you get a free trial. And it's very easy. So once you set up, you get to try it out for free, and that's their grease slide. So I want you to work out, how can you do this in your own customer acquisition process? Go ahead, start mapping it out literally on pen and paper. Start thinking about, what's the first step? Okay, where am I going to capture the lead? What am I going to offer? What's going to be my main sales piece? And we're going to talk about that in the next module, your irresistible offer. How am I going to deliver it? And then start even thinking about, well, what other programs, products, services could I sell later on once I build up a critical mass of front-end customers? So that concludes Module 1, and here are your action items. Remember, without taking action, none of this matters, so make sure you take action before you go to Module 2. So first of all, I want you to define your target audience. If you haven't done that already, define exactly who you're going after in your marketing. Who's your best prospect? Who is most likely to buy? Describe that person, get to really know who they are, and then all of your marketing should be tailored to appeal to that person. Secondly, what lead magnet would they be most interested in? So would it be a free report? If so, what would it be on? And then how do you go about actually writing that report? Would it be a video? And if so, are you going to make the video? Are you going to have someone else? What are you going to talk about in the video? And with all of these things, remember, good enough is good enough. Just go ahead and start implementing. You can always improve them later. First priority right here is to just get it done, get it out there, and then perfect it later. And then last of all, I want you to start mapping out your entire sales funnel. So literally just draw out by hand all the different parts, what you think it's going to look like. Now know that it's probably going to change along the way, but we want to start by building this whole thing with a plan in mind. Okay, so go ahead, complete those action steps, and then I'll see you in Module 2.